It is time to bet on the Premier League in Game Week 11. We have a bunch of locks for everyone. We're locking it in for Game Week 11 because we got a bunch of winners for everyone. Chris Owen told me before the show he is guaranteeing all of his picks today. They are all winners. And there's a special. He's got a really special Manchester City Liverpool bet. It's going to be a surprise, so you guys stick around for the entire show. But make sure, subscribe, YouTube 15, get that RotoWire code up, hit up RotoWire Soccer, get all that good stuff. Chris, happy Friday. Welcome to the weekend.
Just fired up to get back in the chamber here in the pain cave and get some bets off. Not going to call them all locks, but I like some of these quite a bit. Got a couple interesting ones. Couple, maybe odds aren't insane, but I got a couple bets for some other games. Kind of an interesting week of matchups here too. We got some big time, top six guys going at it, and we got a little, call it a relegation 6-pointer down at the bottom there too. So a nice gambit of big games here. We'll get into a few of them, but excited to get back to it here. And it's Friday, so what we got, Adam?
Friday beers. What's up?
We got the Friday feeling, which will be followed by Friday beers at some point. So
We got a gambit of bets. Chris is over in the pain cave. A lot of stuff going on. A lot of words being thrown out. He's writing poems for his kickball gala tonight. He's got big things going on this weekend. So shouts to Chris. Let's get into some bets here. We got a big one. Spurs are home against Manchester United. Look at these odds. They've gone a little up and down here. Spurs were plus 145. Now they're an underdog. 165. Manchester United plus 155. Spurs coming off the 4-0 win against Copenhagen. But Manchester United, we're going to be saying it all season. They just have no midweek games. Outside of Lisandro Martinez, just no injuries to deal with, no extra games to deal with like these other teams until the FA Cup starts. So it's just like this extra advantage Manchester United has over all these other top half teams really in the league, which is kind of showing itself a little bit. But how do you think this game's going to go?
you said it, to begin here. United fresh legs is such a big deal in the league here when you're not having to, train, do one recovery, one training day, one travel day, one big game in Europe, and then do it all over again in a matter of 3 days. It's huge and good. And obviously we've seen them kind of kick around with some better results as of late. Spurs did play in the Champions League earlier this week too. So, I wonder how that affects them. And, this has been an interesting matchup, though. Obviously they met in the Europa League final last year too. I don't put too much weight into what happens in cup finals, just because they're typically pretty cagey matches. That was a 1-0 game, and then last season they played 4 times last season, which is kind of crazy. Twice in the Prem, one in the Europa League, and then one in the EFL Cup, which was a kind of a spicy 4-3 match. For this one, I went a couple different ways. I noted that both teams they have an over 1.5. That's like right around. I think when I last looked, Man United was minus 105 for an over 1.5 total team goals. Tottenham is plus 110. I feel like either one is a potential take. But what that kind of leads me to is like if the odds are good enough for them both to hit the over 1.5, I think I gotta hit this. Both teams to score. So the odds makers are kind of telling us, all right, one goal seems pretty relevant here. And so I think both teams to score in over 2.5 it's minus 120. I like that. I think we'll see I think a 2-1 here is not out of the realm of possibilities. And so I like pretty even odds overall on the money line bets, but I would rather opt for more goals here than try to select a team that's going to win this.
I'm against you. Here.
Wow. Classic.
One of the bets I wrote down. I did write down under 2.5 goals here. That is plus 120. Though looking at more of the odds, you like both teams to score. Plus 155 for no on both teams to score, I think is actually too good here in this spot. I feel like the odds are too much leaning into goals in this game. I don't really understand why. Last 5 games for Tottenham, both teams have failed to score in last matches for them. I just think the way that Spurs line up here, they did get 4 goals midweek, but really their attack has been bad. It was, only a week ago, that game against Chelsea, they had 2 shots, one of their worst offensive performances ever, really. And I think at home here, I think this is actually a pretty good spot here for Spurs, just the way that they're playing. So they're going to have like Paulinho and Bettencourt in the midfield and just kind of United like to sit in that top of the box range with Cunha and Bruno and all those guys. And I think Paulinho and Bettencourt are good in that area. And Spurs are also, under Thomas Frank, good defending set pieces as well. And so I don't think, there's been a couple games in a row here where Casemiro scored off of corners. I don't think that's going to happen in this game. So I think both teams are just going to have trouble scoring. It's kind of what it comes down to. So while I do like the no on both teams to score at plus 155, I'll rather take the under 2.5 at plus 120. So we're fighting on this one.
Wow. So you got the under, I've got the over. We'll have to, somebody's going to have to buy somebody a beer here, I think, at the end of the day.
What are you talking about? You're looking at this West Ham Burnley match. The Hammers are at home, fresh off a nice win. Nice win. West Ham minus 105 to win. Burnley are plus 300.
I'm still recovering from that sound effect. But yeah, that was a quick move on here. So I said we got big matches. We talked Tottenham United. We got even bigger matches. West Ham Burnley.
Oh yeah.
Or we got a November 6-pointer. West Ham bad. Burnley a little bit better than bad, but it's probably still not great. These two teams have given up 40 goals combined this season, which is kind of an absurd amount of goals for, I think we're in game week 11 here, so 10 matches apiece. I love an over. I'm over 3.5 on this game, which is plus 190. Looked at the over 2.5, which seemed kind of realistic. But that's minus 135. So if you're like over 3.5 is a little bit rich for my blood, I would go for the over 2.5 at minus 135. You made a good point when we were discussing this bet pre-show. Like, I think they had a 3-2 result with Wolves, but otherwise, there's been some tough matchups for these teams here. So I don't know. Is 3.5 just a little bit of a bridge too far, or are you like these teams love giving up goals? I should maybe.
I think West Ham are prone to allowing a goal to anyone, and Burnley away have been pretty bad this season. So I think going heavy with the goals isn't a terrible route. I'm actually going a different one. I know you said you didn't trust West Ham, but I'm stepping on that one. I'm going West Ham minus 105 to win. Yep. Going with the Hammers. I think they showed enough in that game against Newcastle last week, 3-1. They just, confidence is a crazy thing. Once you get some confidence, once you get that win, it adds a little something. And they're still at home, so I think that, that also throws in more here. But Burnley have been, arguably the worst team away from home this season. West Ham, some confidence. They inserted Freddie Potts in 11, and he got a lot of praise. You like their lineup a little bit. They had some questions about what they're actually doing. Callum Wilson finally got a start for them, where they weren't starting a number 9 for some time. It seems like Nuno figured something out, and I'm just kind of riding off that confidence. And minus 105 against Burnley, it's a good spot. I think they can score goals. Yeah, it's what it comes down to. Minus 105, I like the odds here. So West Ham getting the 3 points.
Yeah, wow. This has got to be if this is the only opportunity to take West Ham money line here, good for you for smashing it, I guess. But not many weeks that we're going to come back to the table here and be like, yeah, hey, let's grab a little West Ham money line. Especially the way that things are going. So this is bold. It's beautiful.
Could go on like a 5-game winning streak, and you're gonna be ripping off West Ham money line bets pretty shortly here.
When whatever May 25th rolls around, let's look back and see if West Ham went on a 5-game winning streak, and maybe we'll circle back on this moment in time.
Yeah, the Man United fan growing his hair out. I'm sure there's a West Ham one growing his hair out. And
they've actually had a little bit of success in the last couple of years. They got a European trophy.
A little bit. One I did want to shout before we get going on later Saturday matches. I do like to draw on the Everton Fulham match. We don't always like throwing out jaws here because draw bets are kind of dumb, but plus 230. I said it last week when you liked Sunderland money line. Everton just can't seem to win a game, and they're at home against Fulham. Fulham coming off a win. I don't think either one of these teams can get the win here. is kind of what my thought process is. Everton games are just draws or they're losing, and they're at home, so I think it's going to be a draw. So I like the plus 230 on that. But you're going at the different game here. Arsenal at Sunderland. I bet the corners in the Arsenal match last week. They ended up getting 2 goals, and then they were outplayed basically in the second half against Burnley. They decided not to do against Burnley. No, last week.
Oh, last week. Okay.
They decided not to do anything. It was like, okay, we got the 2 goals. Let's just kill this match. So corners not going to happen. Nothing else. You're over 2.5 Arsenal goals not going to happen. Is that going to happen again? We'll see. Arsenal minus 275 to win. Sunderland plus 750. Look at this. Sunderland has moved to plus 550 to win, a plus 750. That's mostly due to Arsenal's just defensive dominance here. So what are you thinking?
Yeah, I thought a number of things to start. You mentioned last week. Last week I had, what the heck was it? It was Arsenal
over 2.5.
Over 2.5. They just took the foot off the gas. Ended up being 2-0. I think, and the other one that I had noted in that game was the minus 1.5. I think Arsenal have pretty much just been just like they have such a dominant defense that I also thought about a clean sheet to win in a shutout. The odds were not quite as good as I would have liked them to be, but I'm going to go back to this minus 1.5. I think we can see another 2-0 win here, or even perhaps more. It's Arsenal minus 1.5 at plus 100. They're so dominant. They can score. Despite Sunderland's great start, I just don't think that they can really match up well with Arsenal in this matchup.
You're not scared about the Stadium of Light and how good Sunderland have been at home?
I think it's a footnote, but I don't think it's the most important thing to focus on. I think what you got to focus on is how dominant Arsenal's backline has been and how they've just been kind of taking it 2 teams.
Yeah, under 2.5, minus 130. I think, I don't know if you looked at this, but Arsenal money line, no on both teams to score. Seems like basically what you should be playing every Arsenal game at this point, given how they're playing.
Yeah.
What no on both teams to score is minus 200. So I guess the odds probably aren't even amazing with that because that's basically what's happening every game. So Arsenal and no on both teams to score. So winning the clean sheet. That one is minus 120. Case you are interested. I didn't really have a bet on that one. Do you have anything in the Chelsea home against Wolverhampton match?
I don't have one that I wanted to take here, but that is definitely, I feel like, are you going to try to find like a Chelsea over, or are you going to think that Wolves bounces back? Wolves at home,
Wolves
pretty crazy odds here.
At Chelsea, Wolves don't have a manager right now. They, Vitor Pereira fired, I think it was on Monday. Chelsea, the last time they were a big favorite like this, they lost to Sunderland. Kind of a match because of the Wolverhampton situation. Like, we have no idea what their lineup's going to look like without Pereira. Can't even remember the whoever the current. I'm not even sure is being considered the caretaker manager here, but maybe former assistant. He spoke this morning, Friday morning.
I saw Gary O'Neill took his name out of it.
Yeah, I think everyone's taking their name out of it because why would you want to manage 2-point Wolverhampton who are likely to get relegated? It's, I guess, unless they throw 10 million at you, but
that little guaranteed money never hurt. That always makes a bad decision logical.
I guess that's another thing. Moving on to Sunday's matches. What are we looking at for Sunday's matches? I have a couple here. Before we get to Manchester City, Liverpool, what else do you have on Sunday?
You got to go here.
One I like looking a little bit here is I like a lot of unders. Probably too many unders, but we'll start with Crystal Palace home against Brighton. I went with a bunch of these home favorites last week, and they all hit because I'm not sure why the odds are like that. Now I think we're getting some value here with Crystal Palace. I know Brighton was one of those home favorites last week, but plus 125 here for Crystal Palace. Maybe a little worry that they do play midweek. Brighton does not play midweek in European play, but maybe that is a worry. But I think overall, when you look at these teams, Crystal Palace, better defense, much more consistent defense, and probably maybe not a better attack, but maybe it seems like it's been at least as good. Without Elise, like they still aren't dropping off with Sarr. With Pino, with Mateta, those guys aren't dropping off at all. which is one thing I like about the way that Crystal Palace are playing. I like Crystal Palace here on the money line plus 125. I just think their better defense is kind of a good thing to mention, as well as them playing at home. Also, Miedema still not starting. I know Diego Gomez got the brace last week, but Miedema is just an important player on that attack that does something different than pretty much everyone else. So Crystal Palace money line plus 125. What do you think?
Yeah, that's certainly an interesting bet here. I feel like these are two pretty evenly matched teams. It is crazy how Palace just have like not fallen off. They keep selling their best attackers. They keep putting results together, and that's obviously credit to Glasner. But yeah, I would hate to take a money line bet here personally on this game. It's a tough one to tell.
Yeah, a couple more. I like. I'll do the under in the Brentford Newcastle game, and then under in the Aston Villa Bournemouth matches. They're both under 2.5, minus 105. I think overall Aston Villa's defense is playing really well. Pretty much, it's been the case for the last month. I still have questions about the form of Ollie Watkins and their attack, but I'll take the under 2.5 in that, and then also Brentford Newcastle under 2.5. Similarly, Newcastle has been solid defensively, but their attack just really isn't clicking on any level. Maybe Voltemade will get a goal, one goal in a few games here, but Anthony Gordon doesn't look like he's going to be available to start because of injury midweek. So under 2.5 in that one. I think both those will be kind of grinded out games, kind of grinded out fights. So under 2.5. I know these days it's kind of tough to take the under 2.5 in any Premier League match, but we'll do it right here in two Sunday matches.
Yeah, I mean, and especially when you're starting Ollie Watkins, who is like incapable of finding the back of the net. It seems like this season, I'm signed as scorned Fantrax and FPL owner of Ollie Watkins.
Yeah, Ollie Watkins doesn't start Thursday, comes off the bench, doesn't do anything. Instead, Daniel Malin, I think he scored.
Yeah.
Someone else scored. Either way, here's the big one. Big standalone match ahead of the international break. There's a lot of implications here. We know Arsenal are top of the table, but Manchester City home against Liverpool. Let's look at the odds. They haven't really moved too much in the past 2 weeks, really. Manchester City minus 110, Liverpool plus 265. I said it before the show, Chris. A lot of kind of 180 on thoughts on Liverpool. Last week, you're like, let's bet Aston Villa goals. I said, let's bet Aston Villa money line. And now, Chris, I think you're all in on Liverpool. They handled Real Madrid. They beat Aston Villa, and they haven't allowed a goal. Andy Robertson has gone into the 11, and their defense, they just look more complete as a team. Gravenberch is healthy, mostly healthy now. Gakpo dropped. Wirtz played on the wing, maybe helped a little bit for him. So stock up for Liverpool. What does that mean for this game?
Stock is higher than it was last weekend, that's for sure. Clean sheets in back-to-back games is not something I expected. I think when I last week when we talked before this, I was thinking, if they could get maybe a win, a draw, and a loss this week, I would consider it a good enough week. They have won both games, and honestly, I forgot what I think they actually was like 2.3 to like 0.45 for that Real game. So they definitely deserved the result that they got. Could have arguably been a couple more goals if Courtois hadn't been the best goalie in the world. And so they're playing better. That being said, City are also playing well. These two teams feel like kind of like looking in the mirror a bit in terms of expectations. We both expected, Liverpool obviously spent a lot more money, but like looking at them, you expect, the return of Rodri this season for them to kind of bounce back. It's really Arsenal's league to lose at this point. But this is always such a big matchup. Interesting note is prior to last year, it had been 10 years since Liverpool had won at City away. Of course, they won last year. It was 2-0. The previous one was 2015 and like a 4-1 win under Klopp. So a win is not something that happens that frequently for Liverpool here. So I am hesitant to ride a couple of big results here over the last 6 days or so and roll that up into another big result. So I don't feel great about that one. So I'm kind of opting a little bit different direction for it. That said, I think we will see another great matchup here, and we're slowly building on our Pep slot rivalry. It's probably never going to get to the heights that Klopp and Pep were at for so many years, but still fun, and obviously the teams kind of trading results is good. One thing to note is Liverpool have actually been pretty solid against City in the league the last couple few seasons. They're unbeaten in the last 5 or 6 matches here. So a couple 2-0s last season. The prior season was 1-1, and then I think they split the season before. So they've actually been decent. Like I said, I'm gonna probably steer clear of a money line bet. You can get Liverpool double chance at -115, but I actually like a corners bet here. I did look at Liverpool race to 3 corners. Not going to take that one. I think City will probably come out and possess quite a bit, and Liverpool might try to hit them back on the counter more. But I'm interested to see, say, City gets an early goal, or maybe they're able to counter a bit. You get Liverpool second half over 2.5 corners. It's +135, a little bit outside of the mold that I usually go with here. But we got to go corners. We got to kind of get out of our comfort zone here and go with this bet.
Yeah, we talked about this before the show, Chris. I'm on the opposite. I got under 9.5 corners at +105. I think there are, just reading how this game's going to go, I think we should put a lot of it into how Liverpool have looked the last couple of matches, and not how they looked for like a 2-month stretch there. I think putting a lot into those games, I think, is going to go into this one. But as for Manchester City, you look at some of the results. There's been more goals in their games: 4-1 Dortmund, 3-1 Bournemouth, 3-1 Swansea in the cup there. But when they turn up the competition here, 1-0, the loss against Aston Villa, 1-1 Arsenal. There was 3-0 against Manchester United, 2-0 loss against Spurs. So you just have lower scoring matches. I just think we're going to get back to a low scoring game here. I know a lot of people are thinking fireworks. Maybe you're thinking fireworks as well. But I think Manchester City overall, they're playing I think they've adjusted from last season when basically every team scored in the counter. And also Donnarumma is a better shot stopper than Ederson is, which has helped multiple times this season. So I think you throw that in there, and Liverpool with Andy Robertson in there, just maybe a little safer defensively. And we've seen it these last couple games. They've played really well defensively. And I think we're going to get one of these tight, low-scoring games here. I know in what, couple years ago, it was like both teams got limited opportunities, but it was still a 2-2, 3-2 result. I'm not sure we're there yet. It could, maybe Manchester City will turn into the team where they were a few years ago, and Foden is just ripping goals from top of the box like he did against Dortmund midweek. Maybe that's going to be a thing that happens every game, which, hey, it's possible. But Gravenberch right there, that's Gravenberch area right there. How many opportunities is Foden going to get right there to unleash shots on top of the 18-yard box? So I got a couple in addition to that under on corners. Under 3.5 is -145. If you do like the under, this is also against Chris's Liverpool double chance, but Manchester City double chance and under 3.5 goals is +102. And if you really like the under 2.5 goals is +170. I think a 2-0, 1-0, 1-1 result is in range for this game. So I do like the under 2.5 at +170.
Yeah, last 4 have been under 2 goals. So we had the 2 seasons ago, both 1-1s, and then last season was both 2-0. So, historically speaking, it could work.
What is your exact score prediction?
I think we get a 1-1. I guess a draw would be appropriate here.
Oh, you're going 1-1. You're taking my bet. You're taking my score.
Okay, I'll go 2-2.
Okay, good.
So what you were on the weekend?
And you're taking what, 9 Liverpool corners? Is that what you said?
I said over 2.5 second half corners. So we get 3 Liverpool corners in the second half, and we're cashing a +135.
Okay. All right. So in that case, we'll do Man City get the first goal in the first half. That means Liverpool have to push, but then Man City get Haaland off the counter. 2-0 Manchester City. I'm not doing 1-1. I'm going against Liverpool 2-0 Manchester City. That is the bet.